Good morning.
How you doing?
Fine.
Morning.
Good
Morning.
morning, Jaime. Good morning, Alfredo. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
How are you guys? Good. How you doing?
Good.
Sister,
All
do
right.
you have a problem with your audio?
Yes,
Yes.
A problem with my headphones.
Yes.
with your audio.
Really?
Yeah.
Now? Can you hear me?
Very low, like
A
yesterday.
little.
Not too much, just a little, like yesterday.
Yeah, not
Not
too
too
much,
much.
just a little.
Just a little.
So I don't know what's going on. I'm going to check maybe there is a setting in the computer, so I'm going to check it today. Otherwise, I'm not
Good,
going to
mo-
wear these
good
headphones.
morning.
Good morning, Luis. How you doing?
Okay.
How you doing, Luis?
Um, Fine, fine.
All right. So I just want to ask you if you started with the presentation yesterday. Did you start checking about the product that you're going to sell or that you're going to present? No?
Uh, Not too much.
Okay, good.
Not too much.
Just a
Uh,
little.
just a little.
Okay. Hasael, did you start working on that?
I can hear you.
Hasael, did you start working on the presentation? No?
Nothing.
So Karen, did you?
Now I can listen you. Like yesterday, it's the same problem.
So I'm going to take them off. Now?
Yes.
So I don't know what's going on with this
It's
headphone.
better.
Right. So let's
It's
see,
okay.
Hasael, did you start working on the presentation?
Not
Mm,
for me, not
not,
yet.
not yet. Oh.
Okay. So the thing is that I asked you to start working like little by little because if you do it the last day, it's going to be difficult to get all the information. So try to do it like little by little, and I consider that you can probably get ready by Thursday so that you're not going to be like doing all the activity on Thursday night. So that is basically the reason why I asked you to do it like little by little. Now let's
Teacher,
see.
the products is not invent. It's a any product.
If you want to invent it, it's okay.
Okay, but it's not necessary
It's
to
not
invent.
necessary. It's not necessary.
Okay.
But you can invent it. If you want to invent it, it's okay. Good. All right, so I'm going to show you the screen. And here we have the attendance. So we are going to start with the first person, Isaac Aguillon. It's not here right now, maybe later. Hazael Alfaro,
Present.
Rodrigo Alfaro, here right now. Carlos Asensio, he's not here right now. Osvaldo Cáceres, here right now. Alfredo Calderón,
Listen.
Elizabeth Castro, she's not here right now, maybe later. Next person, let's see. Jordi Castro, he's not here right now, maybe later. Winston Cruz, Winston, no. All right. Next person, Natalie Dubon.
Present.
Good. Oh, Winston is entering right now. So that's why. So Winston. Then Francisco Grimaldi. Francisco Grimaldi, no. René Gutierrez, no. Luis Liotti, Luis Liotti,
Present.
good. Karen
Present.
Marroquín,
Present.
good. Oscar Morales,
Present.
good. Raúl Antonio Reynosa, he's not here. Jaime Rivas,
Present.
Carla Rodríguez,
Present.
Walter Sánchez, he's not here. Michelle Valiente, Michelle.
Present.
Candy Villacorta, and Brian Villalta. Well, he's not here, maybe later. And Osvaldo that
Teacher,
is entering right now.
present. Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome. Next person that entered was Jordi. Jordi, let's see another one. Another person that I didn't mention before.
Me, teacher.
Who?
Francisco.
All right, let's see Francisco. So Francisco's over here. I guess that's it.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jordi. All right,
Yeah,
so
present.
present, he said. Okay, so this is just the attendance. Now we are going to start with a new topic. If you remember yesterday, we were working on how many and how much. So we were saying how many for things that you can count and how much for things that you cannot count. So I'm going to ask Michelle. Michelle, if I say headphones, how do you say how many or how much?
How many?
Good. If I want to know the price, Winston, if I want to know the price of these headphones, how do I say? How
How
much?
much?
Uh-huh. Good. Now, Karen, if I say lamp, how do you say? How many or how much?
How many?
Good. Now, Hasael, if I say pages, pages like in a book, you have page one, page two, page three, four, five. So how do you say? How many or how much?
How much?
Good. Now, Jaime, if I say beef, beef,
How much?
how much? Good. Beef is like the meat from a cow. That is beef. Good. Next one. Carla, how do you say? How many minutes or how much minutes?
How many minutes?
Perfect. Now, Alfredo, how do you say? How much time or how many time?
Time.
What do you say, Alfredo? Sorry.
How much time?
How much time? Exactly. How much time? Next one. Osvaldo, how do you say? How many times or how much times?
How many times?
Exactly. In that case, how many times is just talking about the intentions, the times that you try to do something. For example, how many times do you take a shower a day? Two times? Three times? Once? None? And like that. So, in that case, you're counting. Next one, Rodrigo. How many or how much glasses?
How many glasses?
How many glasses? Because you are talking about the objects that you're wearing. Good. Brian, how do you say? How many glass or how much glass?
How much glass?
How much glass when you're talking about the material, but not the objects that you wear. Next one. Francisco, how do you say how much ice cream or how many ice creams?
How many ice creams?
It depends. It depends. Because if you say how many ice creams, you are talking about the ice cream that is in a cone. But if it is ice cream that is not in a cone, you cannot say how many, you need to say how much. Why? Because it's something that you cannot count. So you will say how much ice cream. Yes? Imagine that you have a box, and in that box you cannot say your mother like you cannot say to your mother that you want two ice creams. You're not going to say to your mother that you want two ice creams because she cannot count it. So you will
Okay.
say
How
much
much?
ice cream when you cannot count it, and you can say one, two, three when you're talking about cones, when the ice cream is in a cone. In that case, you can count it. Good. Next one, Oscar. How do you say? How much money or how many money?
How much money?
Good. Carla, how do you say? How many windows or how much windows?
How many windows?
Good. Jaime, how do you say? How many clothes? How many clothes, sorry, or how much clothes?
Close. You say close.
Yes, clothes.
How many?
How many clothes? Because you are talking about these clothes. Yes. So you're talking about shirts, about jeans, about socks, about ties, about jackets. Those are clothes. Yes. And I mentioned it in plural, clothes. So how many clothes? Yes.
The
Obviously,
reason for how uh, for you, I asked you.
when I ask you,
Yeah,
okay,
if you say close or close,
that's
I
why
try
you asked
to,
me.
yeah,
Okay, yes, to identify if it was singular or plural. Yes, in that case, clothes, it's general. Yes, clothes is general. So you're saying clothes, like counting all kind of clothes that you have, like shirts, pants, jeans, socks, ties, jackets, shorts, whatever you have. If I say fabric, Louis, fabric. If I say fabric, I'm saying tela. So what do you think?
How much?
How much? Because in that case, the fabric is something that you cannot count. Next one, Hasael. How do you say? How much salt or how many salt? Salt, sal.
Sal.
Yeah.
How many?
Mm, can you count? One salt, two salts, three salts, four salts?
No.
So if you cannot count it, how do you say how much or how many? That's it.
How many?
No, Hazel, it is how much.
How much?
Because how much is for the things that you cannot count. How much es para las cosas que no puede contar, Hazel. Y
Okay.
la sal es algo que usted no puede contar. Entonces usted no va a decir, le voy a poner 3 sales a la comida, o 4 sales, o 5 sales. No, ¿verdad? Entonces no puede contar 1 sal, 2 sal, 3 sales. Eso sí, sí no se puede. Entonces usted va a decir, how much salt do I need? Let's see, how much salt do I need? I need 1 pound, 2 pounds. Entonces ahí lo que está contando son los pounds. Pounds son libras, entonces usted puede contar libras, pero no va a contar sal. ¿Sí? No puede
De
decir
acuerdo.
1 sal, 2 sales, 3 sales. Entonces, la sal se representa a través de las libras o los kilos o los gramos. Yes? Good. So that's the way that you identify if something is countable or uncountable by using how much and how many. So any questions before starting what we got for today? Questions? No? All
Question.
right. So let's get started. I'm going to show you on the screen what we got for today. And today you will be able to give instructions on how some products have to be handled and stored. Handle means manipulated, and store is
Teacher,
like save, but you cannot say save. Yes. For example, in a company, let's say like Prado or La Curazao, Omnisport, and all those places, they store products in a room. That room is called warehouse. So they store the products in a warehouse. The warehouse is the place where you put all those products that you're selling, but obviously because you need to keep them safe. So that is a
teacher,
warehouse.
I have a question.
Yes?
¿Cómo se dice, cómo se pregunta y cómo se contesta? ¿Cuántas veces hizo algo?
How many
How
times?
many times? How
Yeah,
many times? Y si
exactly.
fue 3 veces,
3 times.
three, three times. Okay,
3 times.
3 times.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That was a question that I asked. I don't remember if it was Jordi. I don't remember, but I asked someone about times because times you
Okay,
can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but when you say times, it's like veces, and if you only say time, is tiempo. So if you want to say tiempo, you say how much, and if you want to say veces, you say many. So many times, muchas veces, o cuántas veces, how
okay,
many times. Good.
thank you.
You're welcome. So here we are going to be able to describe those products and how those products need to be handled and how those products need to be stored. So what we are going to check is also how to express obligation. So everyone has obligation. Oscar has obligations, Brian has obligations, Osvaldo has obligations. So here we have a conversation. This conversation is between Aaron and Sam. So I'm going to read it for you, and later you're going to be Aaron and Sam. So it says, the new material just arrived in the morning. Tell Max that he has to store everything. Where does he have to store the boxes? He and Ivan have to store them in the warehouse. Okay, but there are many boxes. Can they use the lift? They have to use the lift, but ask and tell the secretary first. She's going to say they can use it. Then I'm going to tell Max and Ivan what they have to do. So, any questions about the conversation that you have in there?
In this case, have to use for obligation
Yes,
or for.
have to is for obligation. Like when you say tengo que, I have to. I have to work. That is an obligation. I have to work. I have to attend meetings, responsibilities or obligations. Another question about pronunciation or vocabulary? No? All right, so first person in this conversation is going to be Osvaldo. Osvaldo is going to be Aaron, and Brian is going to be Sam. So let's listen to them.
The new material just arrived in the morning. Tell Max that he has to store everything.
Where does he have to store the boxes?
He and Ivan have to store them in the warehouse.
Okay, but there are many boxes. Can they use the lift?
They have to use the lift, but ask and tell him secretary first.
She's going to say they can use it. Then I am going to tell Max and Ivan what they have to do.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a person over here. Let's see, Oscar. Oscar, what's the meaning of lift? Because they are saying they have to use the lift. So what's a lift?
I don't know, teacher.
Renee?
What is the question? Sorry.
What's the meaning of lift?
Lift. No, I don't know.
Huh. And I asked you, do you have any questions about vocabulary in the conversation? And he said no. Carla, do you have the answer?
Ascensor.
Oh, good point, Carla. Good point. Lift is ascensor in British English. In British English, lift. But in this context, it's not ascensor. But you are right. Lift can be ascensor in British English. But in this context, it's not ascensor.
Montacarga?
Perfect. A lift is a montacarga. So it is like a little car that you use to move boxes from one place to another one when they are really heavy. So that is a lift. Good. Now, number two. Renee is going to be Aaron and Rodrigo is going to be Sam.
The new material just arrived in the morning. Tell Max that he has to store everything.
Where does he have to store the boxes?
He and Ivan have to store them in the warehouse.
Okay, but there are many boxes. Can they use the lift?
They have to use the lift, but ask and tell the secretary first.
She's going to say they can use it. Then I'm going to tell Max and Ivan what they have to do.
Good, 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 good. Just the pronunciation, it is first, 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 first. Now, next one. Aaron is gonna be Winston and Michelle is gonna be Sam.
The new material just arrived in the morning. Tell Max that he has to store everything.
Where does he have to store the boxes?
He and Ivan have to store them in the warehouse.
Okay, but there are many boxes. Can they use the lift?
They have to use the lift, but ask and tell the secretary first.
She is going to say they can use it. Then I'm going to tell Max and Ivan what they have to do.
Good, 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 good. Next person is gonna be Elizabeth. Welcome back. So
Thank you.
Elizabeth is gonna be Aaron, and Oscar is gonna be Sam.
The new material just arrived in the morning. Tell Max that he has to score everything.
Oscar.
Where does he have to store the boxes?
He and Ivan have to store them in the warehouse.
Okay, but there are many boxes. Can they use the lift?
They have to use the lift, but ask and tell the secretary first.
She's going to say they can use it. Then I'm going to tell Max and Ivan what they have to do.
Good, good, good. Just the pronunciation, they can use it. They can use it. They can use it. Good. So last one. Karen is going to be Aaron and Louis is going to be Sam.
The new material just arrived in the morning. Tell Max that he has to store everything.
Where does he have to store the boxes?
He and Ivan have to store them in the warehouse.
Okay, but there are many boxes. Can they use the lift?
They have to use the lift, but ask and tell the secretary first.
She is going to say they can use it. Then I'm going to tell Max and Ivan what they have to do.
Good, good, good. So they can use it. They can use it. They can use it. Good. Now let's see. Here you have, after the conversation, 4 things that you need to complete. You need to choose if it is have to, has to, doesn't have to, or don't have to. So first person to help us is going to be Hasael. So Hasael, how do you say? Max and Ivan have to store boxes, or Max and Ivan has to store boxes?
Max and Eva has two store boxes.
Has to. The
Has
second
to.
option.
Yes.
Okay, let's ask Jaime. Is it has to or have to?
Have to because they.
Okay. So as you can see here, you have Max and Ivan. So it is plural. Max and Ivan have. If you say only Max, has. If you say only Ivan, has. But if you say Max and Ivan, it's plural. So you say have to. Max and Ivan have to store boxes. Number 2, Natalie.
Aaron has to help store the boxes.
Aaron has to help store the boxes. Good. Next one, number 3, Rodrigo.
Sam doesn't have to help.
Good. So Sam doesn't have to. Doesn't have to help. Doesn't have to help. Doesn't have to help. Number 4. Um, let's see who else is over here. Carlos Asensio. Number 4.
The secretary have to say that they can use the lift.
Okay. And the answer is the secretary has to. Has to. So in this case, the secretary is a third person. It's like if you say she. So for he, for she, and for it, you're going to use has. For I, for we, for you, and for they, you're going to use have. So in other words, I'm going to show you on the screen. You will see a message. Has is for he, for she, and for it. And have is for I, we, you, and they. So that's a difference. Has for he, for she, and it, and have for I, for we, for you, and they. Yes? Now, if you want to say it negative, in negative, you're going to say don't for I, for we, for you, and for they. So you would say, I don't have to, we don't have to, they don't have to, you don't have to. For he, for she, and it, you don't say don't, you will say doesn't. But if you say doesn't, remember that the verb is in the base form. So you will say doesn't have to. Here you're not going to say doesn't has. You will say doesn't have. For example, Rodrigo doesn't have to work on weekends. Rodrigo doesn't have to work on weekends. So Rodrigo doesn't have to work on weekends. So for he, for she, and it, in negative, you say doesn't have to. Yes? Now, in pronunciation, when you say this word alone, is have. So you pronounce the letter V and you say have, have. But if it is this one and you say it quickly, the pronunciation is have to. So you will say, I have to work, I have to study, I have to read, I have to go. So have to is a fast way to say have to. But if you say it quickly, have to. So that V, when you say it quickly, becomes an F, like an F. And to becomes like to. So you say have to. I have to work, I have to study, I have to read, and like that. If it is he, she, and it, you only say has. So has to. Oscar has to work, Rene has to clean his house, and like that. Yes? So now let's go back to the exercise that I was showing you. So it says, for affirmative sentences or positive sentences, you say, I have to store these packages. They have to take everything to the warehouse. We have to ask for permission. The truck driver has to bring the material. He has to use the lift. So as you can see, I have to, they have to, we have to. But when you say he, that is a truck driver, has to, and he has to use the lift too. In negative, I don't have to, They don't have to. We don't have to. The truck driver doesn't has to. Is not correct in that case because you need to say doesn't have to. Similar to the last one, he doesn't have to use the lift. So in the negative form, it needs to be doesn't and have. So eliminate has if you have the book over there. Eliminate has because it's have. Doesn't have to bring the new material. So now here you have an exercise. You have five exercise and you need to use have to if it is positive for I, we, you, they, has to if it is for he, she, and it, and if it is negative, you have to use don't have to or doesn't have to. So, for example, number one says, the company buy new material. So this sentence is positive. How do I know that this sentence is positive? Because if you check number three says the agents, and in parentheses says not sign. So it means that you need to change it to negative, not sign. So number one is going to be positive, number one positive, number two positive, number three negative, number four positive, and number five negative. So let's see number one. Osvaldo, how would you complete number one? The company?
The company has to buy new material.
Good. The company has to buy new material. Good. So I repeated the last time. Have to is for I, will, you, they. Has to is for he, she, and it. In negative, I don't have to. And for he, she, and it, doesn't have to. So now you need to complete number 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 3 minutes to complete it. So complete number 2, 3, 4, and 5. Done? Okay, let's see the answers. Number 2, Karen.
Your parents have to pile up containers.
Good, good. Your partners have to. In this case, have to because it is similar to say they. Good. Number 3, Michelle. The agents
The agents don't have to sing the letter.
sing or sign?
Sign.
Exactly, signed. The agents don't have to sign the letter. Good, good, good. Next one. Let's see. Francisco.
Mr. Bonilla has to design new models.
Good, 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 good. And the last one, Jaime.
Yeah, I have a doubt with that, but I think that is the group doesn't have to work until late.
All right, good. Let's see if it is correct or not. I'm going to show you on the screen two options and you need to vote. So just give me some seconds. You need to vote, but give me a second. Just a second because I'm going to create a poll. A poll is like a survey. So just give me a second because this one is super important. All right, so you're going to see on the screen two options and you need to choose what you think is the correct answer. So I'm going to give you the options right now. So start voting. Don't have to or doesn't have to. What do you think?
Doesn't have to.
Okay, choose your option over there on the
Yeah.
screen. Choose the option. One person is missing. One person is missing.
I'm missing.
Who?
Luis Liotti. I
Okay.
I I I I, I don't know.
You're analyzing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know how
Hurry.
do it the
You only choose one of the options.
where.
Click on
I
it.
don't know.
Did you see the message on the screen?
No,
So probably it disappeared. But I'm going to show you right now, so probably you can give me the answer, Luis.
my vote is doesn't.
Okay, so I'm going to show you on the screen, and we will see the result. Can you see it on the screen?
No, my version is in uh, internet.
Okay,
No,
can you see on the screen, guys, the
Yes.
result?
Yes.
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 Okay, good. So the first one says, the group And then you have to use if it is the group don't have to or the group doesn't have to. So as you can see, 47% of people said don't have to, and 53% of people said doesn't have to. So it means that you are almost the same. But Louis said doesn't have to, so we need to add a little bit over there. But this is an interesting question because many people get confused. And the correct answer is doesn't have to. The reason is because we are talking about one group,
Yeah.
and one group is it. We are not talking about people. We are talking about the group. I know that inside the group we have people. Yes, but we are talking about the subject. The subject is group, and the subject is singular. It's like if you say it. So the group doesn't have to work until late. That was the answer. Now, sometimes people get confused with this because I was saying that they understand that when they say group, you're talking about a lot of people. Yes, that is the meaning of the word. Yes, that is the meaning of the word. But the structure of the word is not plural. The word is singular. The meaning is plural. Yes? So the word is singular. How do you know that it's singular? Because you're saying one group. If you say two groups, in that case it is plural. Two groups don't have to. Three groups don't have to. But if you say one group, you say doesn't have to. Now let's see another example.
Is the same, teacher, when you don't know the price of the product.
What do you mean? Give me an example.
Is the example is the same when you no, excuse me. Forgot. Use
Oh, tell me, give me an
the
example.
much yeah.
How much? It's similar to how much?
Yeah, when you don't know the price of the products, you use much.
Yeah, but in that case,
It's
just
similar.
because you are talking about money, so you want to say how much money, but you don't say how much money. In a short way, you only say how much. How much are these shoes? So in that case, how much means how much money, but you don't
But
say
I say the group of the people uh, doesn't or don't.
the group. You're talking about one group, doesn't.
But and of the people is saying doesn't.
Yes, because that is extra. What you're saying,
Okay.
the group of people, people is extra. You're just specifying that it's a group of people, but it's always a group. It can be a group of animals, a group of cars, a group of, I don't know, students, a group of computers. So it is always a group. You're just modifying that
Okay.
it's people, but it can be animals, objects. Yes. So when you say group, the meaning is plural. In your mind, when you hear the word group, you imagine a lot of people or a lot of things. But that word is singular. The word is singular because you're saying group. How many groups? One. So if you have the word group, it's one. Like if you say it, yes. So in that case, the
But
group,
the problem is in Spanish too. It, it's identify the group with three persons or the groups because there are many groups. It's
Exactly.
they.
It is the same thing like in Spanish
It's
because
Spanish. Yeah, it's like in Spanish.
in Spanish you say el grupo tiene. Entonces se conjuga como que fuera una tercera persona. No dicen el grupo tienen, el grupo es, no el grupo están o son. El grupo es, el grupo está. So you say like if it is it, like it. So same thing is going to happen here. The group has to, the group doesn't have to. Now next one. Let's see,
I
Elizabeth.
have a question.
Yes?
I have a question. What is the difference between in sentence 5 and in the explanation about in negative? Because about the says doesn't has to, but in the sentence is doesn't have.
Exactly. That's what I was saying at the beginning of the exercises. I was telling you that in that part, the book has a mistake. The person who created the book wrote doesn't has, but it's not possible to say doesn't has. Remember that when you say doesn't, the verb is in the base form always. So you say doesn't go, doesn't eat, doesn't work, doesn't study, doesn't play. So in that case, doesn't have because the verb in the base form is have. So in that case, the person who created the book made a mistake.
Okay,
And
thank you.
probably before printing the book, they didn't check it first. They had to check it. So it's a mistake. It has to be doesn't have to. Yes? Good. Now, next one. Let's see. Elizabeth, give me a number from 1 to 10.
Number 2.
Number 2. So we're going to start from down to up. 1 is Carlos Asensio, number 2 is Candy. So, Candy, if you say my family, you will see that the message on the screen, my family have to work or my family has to work.
Has to work.
Okay, let's see if Carlos has the same answer. Carlos, how do you say my family have to work or my family has to work?
I think my family has to work.
Exactly. So it is the same situation like the group. You're saying my family has to. Why has to and not have if it is plural? Yes, the meaning is plural, but the word is singular. You're saying my family. Your family is only one. Plural, two families, three families. But here you're saying my family. Next one. Let's see. Jordi.
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
And if I use our families has to work
If you say
or how?
if you say my families, that you're talking about probably the family of your mother and the family of your father. In that case,
Mm-hmm.
my families have to. Have to. Why? Because you have two families. Yes, two families. Good.
Okay.
Now let's see, Jordi. You will see it on the screen and you have to tell me how to complete it.
My team has to win.
Exactly. My team has to win. The team is in meaning is plural because you have probably 11 people in the team in a soccer team. Yes. So you say my team has to win because you're talking about one team. It's similar to group. So all those words are called collective nouns. And collective nouns are words that the meaning is plural, but the word is singular. Yes? So those are collective nouns. Now, I don't know if you have any questions. Questions? Because that was the last one when you said the group doesn't have to work until late. Questions?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yes.
And I can listen the answer for this option. I can, because I think is possible the both, but I don't know is correct.
It says Aaron doesn't have to or Aaron doesn't has to help. It has to be doesn't have to, because as I was saying, after doesn't, the verb is in the base form. So you always say doesn't work, doesn't go, doesn't study, doesn't eat, doesn't watch.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. Doesn't, yeah.
Doesn't
Okay.
have to. In that case, have to.
And
Without,
doesn't has is not possible.
it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not
Okay,
correct.
perfect.
And
Perfect.
I was saying that in the book you will find that it says doesn't has to, but they made a mistake because it has to be have, doesn't have to. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Another question? No. No. Okay. So I'm going to show you a video, and on this video you're going to see a little bit more about have to, has to, don't have to, and doesn't have to.
Hello everyone, this is Mark again. How are you today? Today we're going to look at have to. I have a sentence for you. You have to be quiet during a lecture at university. You have to be quiet during a lecture at university. So we use the modal verb have to for a strong obligation. This obligation has to be imposed by a rule or by the law, okay? Is, in other words, an impersonal obligation, okay? Somebody else tells you to do something. We use it a lot in American English, okay? Instead of must. Must is disappearing. And in British English, they even use you have got to, have got to. Okay.
Okay, this part is important. When you say have to, you know that you're expressing obligation. Yes? Obligation, for example, you have some obligations at work that we are going to talk about that later. And in those obligations, you have to respect them because you know that they are like in a rule that you have at work. So if you break rules at work, you know that you can be fired. So have to is something that you have to respect like an obligation, strong obligation. So this word have to is very common. In some cases, you will find must. So must is similar to have to, but probably must is a little bit stronger than have to. So must is in American English, and in British you will find it like have got to. So some people will say, I have got to work. I have got to work. And the meaning is similar to say, I have to work. Yes? Or you can also find it in informal conversations. And in informal conversations, you will find it like gotta. So you will hear people saying, I gotta work, I gotta study, I gotta go, I gotta play, I gotta eat. So gotta in that case is similar to say have to, but it is more informal. Yes, that's the difference. And sometimes you will hear must, the person is expressing an obligation to, similar to have to. And if you check have got to, I have got to work, that is British English. So now let's continue watching.
It's the same. Pay attention to the tense you want to use have to, because yes, have to can be used in the past, in the present, and in the future. So I can say, you had to learn English when you were younger. Okay? You have to learn English now, and you will have to learn English when you're an adult. Okay? Remember.
So in here, what he's saying is that have to, it's not only for the present, it can be for the past, it can be for the future, so you can use it in different tenses.
Know that you have to pay attention to the auxiliary, because have to works not as a full verb, but as a verb, as a main verb. Okay, so let's look at my introductory example. I said, you have to be quiet during a lecture at university. Okay, somebody tells you you need to be quiet during a lecture at university. Okay, so now let's look at the different types of formulas. We have, for a positive sentence, the subject, then we need have to, okay, then we need the verb in the infinitive, because there is to, okay, and then the object. Pay close attention that sometimes we need the auxiliary. For example, in a future tense sentence, you need the auxiliary before have to. Okay, so let's take a look at an example now. You will have to learn English. Okay, you will have to learn English. But if I use the same sentence in the present, obviously we don't write the auxiliary. So I say, you have to learn English. Okay, this is for a positive sentence. So now let's look at the negative sentence. We have the subject first, then the auxiliary plus not, then have to, and then the verb infinitive, and the object at the end. So let's take a look at the same example that I gave you before. You will not, you won't have to learn English. You won't have to learn English in the future. Okay. And now let's look at interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence goes obviously with a WH question word at the beginning, if there is. Then we need the auxiliary. Then we need the subject. Then have to. Then the verb. Okay, infinitive. And then maybe if there is an object.
In this case, it is the WH question only if you're going to ask a WH question. Because if you're going to ask a normal question, you don't use WH question. You only start with the auxiliary. For example, do you have to work on weekends? Do you have to read a manual? So in that case, you only start with the auxiliary. But if you want to ask questions like where, when, how, why, then that WH question is starting with WH words. So you will say, where do you have to store the boxes? When do you have to send the report? Why do you have to wear a tie? So that is the way that you structure those questions.
What will you have to do? when you move to Canada? What will you have to do when you move to Canada? Okay, this could be an example. Okay, let's recap now. So have to is used to express a strong obligation based on a law or rule imposed by somebody or an institution. So is an impersonal obligation, is an impersonal action. Okay. So you have to pay attention to the tenses that you use have to with, because it may change the auxiliary, okay, that you need to use. I said also that in British English they use also have got to, which is the same thing. In American English it replaced must, okay? So instead of must we use have to for everything, okay? And we conjugate have to according to the tense we use, okay? So pay attention to that. So now I have a question for you. What do you have to do to be admitted to university in your country? What do you have to do to be admitted to university in your country? Okay, write your answer under this video. If you have questions or requests, you may write them also under this video. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and I see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, so the question was, what do you have to do to be admitted in university here in El Salvador? For example, in a public university, like here in El Salvador, the University of El Salvador, you need to do something. What do
Yes,
you have to do?
I have
you
to
must have to pass the evaluation.
I have to get a excellent grade in the admission
Okay,
exam.
good. Now, Winston, sorry, you cannot say must and have to because remember that they have the same meaning. You use only one. So how do you say it?
Have have to pass.
Exactly. You have to pass an exam or a test. You are right. And Jaime said that you need to get or that you have to get good scores. Good scores. Yes? So that's a way that you use have to. Now, obviously, at work, you have some obligations. Yes? So you're going to work in pairs and you're going to tell your classmates your obligations. That is the first thing that you have to do, to tell your classmate your obligations. Number two, you're going to ask your classmates to verify if they have another kind of obligations. For example, let's say that I'm working with Rodrigo. So, Rodrigo, tell me three obligations that you have at work.
I have to listen to phone calls. I have to make presentations. Uh, I have to read transactions by chats or DMs.
All right. So now I'm going to ask him to know if he has more obligations. So, Rodrigo, do you have to wear a uniform?
No, I don't.
Okay. Or try to give the long answer just to practice?
No, I don't have to wear a uniform at work.
Good. Do you have to wear formal clothes?
Sometimes I have to wear formal clothes.
Okay. Do you have to attend meetings?
Yes, I have a lot of meetings.
Okay, good. So this is what you have to do. First, you tell your classmates your obligations, and then your classmate is going to ask you to know if you have more obligations. Now, how many?
Teacher,
Yes, Luis?
I have a question.
Yes.
Uh, when I talk in the past, For example, I have to in the present I have to be quiet, but in the past is I have to work quiet
I had
to be always. But uh, what is the brief difference in the past or in the present?
had. Had is the past.
Ah, had. Entonces, I had to.
Exactly.
Okay, okay. They had
Yes.
okay,
In that
perfect.
in that case, you say be because you have to, and after to, the verb is in the base
Yeah.
form. Oh,
In in the past is I had to. In the present I have to. In the future I will. Okay, no problem.
exactly. I will have to in the future. I have to in the present. I had to in the past.
Okay,
Good. Good.
perfect.
All right. So you will tell your classmate your responsibilities or your obligations at work, saying have to, and then your classmate is going to ask you just to know if you have more responsibilities. So I will give you 10 minutes. In those 10 minutes, you need to get all that information from your classmate. I need that you take notes because later I'm going to switch you and you're going to go with another classmate. So, with that classmate that you're going to have as a second partner, you're going to tell him or you're going to tell her about the previous classmate. So let's say that in the first session, I'm working with Rodrigo. So I'm getting all the information about Rodrigo. So Rodrigo tells me, I have to attend meetings. So I take notes and I say, Rodrigo has to attend meetings. And then Rodrigo tells me, I have to organize events. So Rodrigo has to organize events. And then I ask Rodrigo, do you have to wear formal clothes? And Rodrigo tells me, no, I don't have to wear formal clothes. So Rodrigo doesn't have to wear formal clothes. Rodrigo, do you have to be on time? Yes, I have to be on time. Okay, Rodrigo has to be on time. So that is what you're going to do. You will get the information about your classmate. Now, in the second round, you're going to go with another classmate and you have to give that information to your classmate. So, for example, in the second round, I'm going to go with Jordi. So I will tell Jordi about Rodrigo. Hey, Jordi, Rodrigo has to be early every day. Rodrigo doesn't have to wear formal clothes. Rodrigo has to attend meetings and like that. So I'm giving information about the first person that I worked with. Is it clear? Now, how many? Five. Five obligations. And your classmate is going to ask you about five more obligations. So in total, you will have five sentences that you will give and five questions that you will receive from your classmate. When you finish, you tell your obligations and your classmate is going to ask you about more obligations. So in this case, I start with Rodrigo. Rodrigo tells me his obligations one, two, three, four, five. And later I ask Rodrigo five questions about obligations. After that, I tell my obligations, my five obligations, and Rodrigo asked me to know about more obligations. Yes? So we are going to work in pairs right now. We are, let's see, if there is a person that doesn't have a partner, you're going to work with me. Let's see. Yes, there will be one person working with me. So you're going to enter right now. Enter, guys. Elizabeth? Enter, Elizabeth, enter. Well, Carla, Elizabeth has to be with you, but I guess she had problem with connection, so I'm going to send you with Winston. Carla? Carla, 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 can you hear me? Carla?
Hello, teacher.
Hey, Winston, you're going to work with me. Well, you were supposed
Okay.
to work with someone else, but Carla and Elizabeth had problem with connection, so they are
Okay.
right now. Just give me a second. Rodrigo had problem too. So let me see who Rodrigo was working with. Maybe I can send you with that person.
Okay.
No, because Elizabeth had problem too. So they all had problem. Now let's see. I'm going to work with you. Winston,
Okay, perfect.
tell me your obligations. 5 obligations.
I tell you, okay. I have to work every day of week.
From Monday to Sunday.
No, no
On weekdays.
include to weekdays.
On weekdays. Okay, good.
Yes.
So that is one. Another one?
Um, okay, I have to. I have
All
to.
right, all right. Give me a
I
sec.
have.
Give me a second, Winston. So
Okay,
Elizabeth
okay.
is over there. Elizabeth is over there. So she's going to come with you. Let's see if she comes over here. There she is. Elizabeth,
Hi.
you're gonna work with Winston.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead. Hi, Carla.
Hubo un apagón
Yes,
y perdí el internet.
Rodrigo told me the same that he had a problem. Same problem. Maybe you live near.
Creo que Rodrigo es mi vecino, creo.
Okay, good. So maybe because he had the same problem. So what we are doing right now is to work in an activity that is about obligations. So you have to tell me 5 obligations, and then I will ask you about 5 obligations I have more. Now
Okay.
we're going to go to another room. If Rodrigo gets online, he's going to work with you. If not, we are going to work together. So you
Okay.
can go to that room right now.
Hi, teacher.
Hi, Carlos. You have problem with connection, right?
Yeah, I lost the light in my house.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Rodrigo, and Carla live in the same neighborhood, probably, because
Yeah,
you three have the same problem.
okay.
So I'm
That's
going.
good because I was with Rodrigo then.
Okay, but Rodrigo is not here. So Carla is. So I'm going to send you with Carla.
Okay,
Work with Carla.
okay, fine.
Maybe
Um,
other obligation.
other obligation. Well, uh, could you say me to obligation in your uh, personal life?
Mm, yes, I have to pay the bills in the
Yeah.
house. Yes, um, and I have to help my family.
Well,
And you,
I
no, you, you have to
Do you have to?
be.
Do you have to?
Do you have to uh, do you have to work from your house?
Mhm.
um, yes, I have to work in my house. Uh, uh, for example, uh, wash. I I wash my plates and and spoons. I don't know the all of the things
The,
of
the dishes.
Mhm.
the dishes, and and I I must I have to organize the disaster of my sons, my sons.
Case, um, in my case, when I have to work, I have to visit a lot of customers.
Yeah, appliance. It's true. Yes, I prefer work for home office. I think we have a more uh, benefit.
I don't like home office because I have to do a thing of my between a la par, ¿verdad, teacher? In this case, I can listen you.
You are in mute, teacher.
Sorry. What do you have to do?
When you have to say, tengo que llevar tengo que hacer las cosas de la casa a la par, como decir, a
I
la
have
par.
I have to do two things at the same time, or I have to do the housework at the same time.
Well, I have to do some my home at the same time to the things to my work. So for me, it's very hard to do home office.
Yes. Yeah, it's true because you have a child. Okay.
I have to prepare experience testimony report, and I have to solve fair loss testimony products. This is my fight obligation.
Take notes, Hazael. Take notes. Take notes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I read.
Okay, then.
In this case, I mentioned to Hazael that when he presentations my obligation.
When he presents.
Excuse me. He say he should say he has the first sentence mention my name, and the second and the other ones is only he.
Yes.
He has to.
Exactly. For not repeating
Because that.
Jaime, you
Yeah.
can say he.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
Hazael.
get.
Did you ask Jaime about obligations? Did you ask him, Jaime, do you have to be on time at work? Do you have to use a computer at work? Did you ask him?
Ask me, please.
¿Cómo?
Ask me
Jaime about his other obligations. Ahora
Other
tiene que
obligation.
preguntar a Jaime para saber si él tiene otras obligaciones. Entonces usted pregúntele, Jaime, ¿tenés que usar computador en tu trabajo? Jaime, ¿tenés que enviar reportes todos los días? So ask him and take notes about the answer. Because if he says yes, so you will say, Jaime has to send reports every day. If Jaime says no, you will say, Jaime doesn't have to send reports every day. Yes?
Y la estructura de una pregunta, ¿cómo la haríamos? Cuando es así en primera persona.
Auxiliary.
Do you, first auxiliary, do you have to?
Jaime.
Sorry?
Jaime, do you, sería Jaime, do you
have to?
Has to?
Have to.
Have to?
Have to.
Have to?
Do you have to?
Do you have to use the car every day?
Do you have to use your car every day?
No, I don't have to use car every day.
Can cook. No puedo cocinar.
Bueno.
Ah, Candy, you can't cook. Okay. Are you married?
Yes.
Who cooks? Your husband.
Yeah, I am.
Or you
My husband, yes.
have...
He can cook, but he usually not cooking. Not cook.
He doesn't.
He doesn't
cook.
Okay. And we pay the food.
You buy food.
Fast food or algo así.
He has to
Okay. Okay. Now he has to teach you. He has to teach you how to cook.
I no me interesa. I don't
I'm
interesting
not
for me.
I'm not interested in learning. I'm not interested in learning. Okay. Okay, good. So as Rene said, you have to eat always by using Google.
Cabal.
Okay, good. Continue.
René, do you have to wake up early every day?
Yes, I have to.
Okay, teacher, I finish. Uh,
Good. All right. So do you take notes about your classmate?
okay.
Do you take
I
notes?
can hear you.
Do you take notes, Walter?
Yes. Alfredo has to sell Tigo products for company. Alfredo has to go out of office for job. Alfredo has to attend meeting with your customer. Alfredo has
His
to wear a
customers.
casual. His
His
customer. His.
customers.
Yes. Sorry. Alfredo has to wear a casual for your job. For his job.
Okay.
Alfred, Alfredo has to start work at 8 a.m.
AM. AM.
8 a.m.
Good. All right. So I'm going to send you with Natalie. Walter, you're going to work with Natalie.
Okay.
And Natalie and Luis is going to work with you.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, this is the another go,
Yes,
and
you
you
have
stay
you have
here.
to you have to tell Alfredo about your partner, and Alfredo is going to tell you about his partner.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Alfredo.
Hi, Luis.
Um, well, I want to tell you about Natalie,
Okay.
obligation of Natalie.
Yeah.
Uh, she she has to 5 minutes today, uh, and she has to make she has to make uh, quality daily check account payable. She has to connect to 8 a.m. to work. She has to solve many tickets each day. She has to program some meetings for the rest of the week. And personal obligation, she has to pay bills in your house, or she has to help uh, help her family uh, for that.
Okay. I'm talk about Walter, and Walter has to start 8 a.m. His job. Walter has to go to work
Who was your partner, Francisco?
I don't know.
I guess it was Rodrigo, but he had problem with connection. Well, so you're going to tell me about your partner. Who do you work with at the beginning?
I work with Osvaldo.
All right, so tell me about Osvaldo.
Well, Osvaldo have to provide the budget to installation services.
Osvaldo
Have to provide the budget.
has
To,
to.
sorry, has to provide the budget to installation services.
Mm-hmm.
Also has to create the offers to sell executives and has to read a lot of emails, has to assist to a lot of meetings.
Attend a lot of meetings.
And okay, 10 a lot of meetings and have to
Has to.
has to attend all kind of questions from sales executives.
Good. Now, what about your obligations?
Yeah, about me, I have to bring any kind of information that the sales department ask me, and I have to validate the data, validate the data,
What do you do? What's your profession?
and data analyst. I study
Mm-hmm.
business administration, but
Good.
uh, I I don't know the my experience focus in data analysis.
All right. Good. Good.
And what else? I have,
With this,
excuse me,
yes. No, go ahead.
I have to create presentations and create dashboards with relevant information for the business.
Good. Good. Now, with this pandemic, do you have to go to the site?
No, I don't have to go. I work from my home.
Good. Good. Do you have to send reports every day?
I have to send report every day.
What happens if you don't send them every day?
And well, they don't have the information that need to take a decision. For example, the subsidy, they have to make, they have to know if they meet the target of the subsidy. If I don't send the report, they don't know how to manage
Mhm.
this cost.
All right. Now, when you go to work, do you have to wear formal clothes?
I don't have to wear no, I don't have to wear formal clothes.
So you wear casual clothes.
Casual, right?
All right, good. Do you have an office?
No, I don't have. We we used to work in a table with all my partners
All
or
right.
coworkers.
Yes, my coworkers. Did you have to clean the table or someone else had to do it?
Before the pandemic, someone else cleaned the table. When they start when they start all of that, uh, I clean the table. But then we we didn't have to go there.
So you are working from home, but you're working alone,
Um,
or you work
I
with
work
other people in your house.
no, I work on alone.
You're working
I
alone.
have
Okay.
I have my desk.
Oh, okay. Good, good. Did Tigo send you the equipment, or you had to buy one?
No, I had to buy
Good,
the well the chair because the desk I have before the pandemic. I
good.
bought before the pandemic.
Exactly. Did they lend you a computer, or you had to buy a computer?
No, the computer that I use is they lend me the computer.
They lent me the computer. Good,
Lent me
good,
the computer.
good. Do you have a specific time when you're going to go back to reality or to the site?
Mm, we don't have information about it. We don't know if you come back it alone.
All right, good. So let's see, we are going to go back to main station.
Okay.
All right, guys. So let's see what you got. So I need you tell me that information that you got from your classmate. So we are going to start with Brian. Brian, you will tell us about the first person that you worked with. Who was it?
Okay, I was work with Michelle, and she told me some topics. For example, she has to review the controls for IT in general terms. She has to schedule meetings. She has to document the campaigns. She has to do meetings with the different areas. She has to communicate the results. She has to speak with people in other countries. She has to work sometimes in weekends. She doesn't have to supervise the schedule maintenance. She has to make a document in English, and she doesn't have to wear a uniform.
She doesn't have to wear a uniform.
No.
Okay, so she wears casual clothes when she goes to work.
Really, she doesn't know because she's new in the company in the quarantine. So they work from home. So they they don't they no sure. So she doesn't sure how to dress in the work.
So she isn't sure about how to get dressed.
Yes.
Okay, good, good. So she doesn't know about the dress code. Dress code.
No, she doesn't sure.
She isn't.
She isn't sure.
She
Sorry.
isn't sure. All right, good. Now, Michelle, tell us about your partner.
Okay, Brian. He told me about his obligations. He has to do presentation. He has to be the host in some meetings. He has to show some findings. He has to schedule meeting with a provider, and he has to ensure the accomplish of the tasking meeting. And he has to speak with another people in other countries. Brian doesn't have to make document in English, and Brian doesn't have to wear a uniform too.
Okay, so good for you because you don't have to wear a uniform, so you have like casual clothes all the time. Good. Now let's
Yes.
hear Jordi. Who was your partner?
The first one was Oscar Morales, and the second one, Winston Cruz.
All right, so can you tell us about Winston?
Well, Winston has to do the homeworks of the English class. Um, he he has to do the reports of the his work, his job, and he doesn't have to be early because he's home office.
Okay, so he wakes up probably late and then he only takes the computer to start working.
Yeah.
Good. Let's see another person. Raul, who do you work with?
With Karen.
All right, so can you tell us about her?
Yeah, give me a second, please. Okay. Karen works in B2B departments. Karen has to wear formal clothes in sometimes. She has to attend meetings with clients. She has to schedule the week or make a schedule for a week. Has to make calls to customers every day, and she has to attend a lot of meetings with her coworkers.
All right, so she's always busy.
Yes.
Good, 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 good. Next one, Carlos, who do you work with?
I work with Carla.
All right, so tell us about Carla.
Okay, she has to visit customers. She has to complete her diet. She has to go to the gym. She has to do report for her boss, and she has to read her book. And I asked her for 5 responsibilities, and she has to answer emails. She don't have to dress formal in the work. She she has to create a presentation. She doesn't have to create budgets, and she has to go to Tuscany.
Good, good, good. So she doesn't have to wear formal clothes. Good. Next one, Rene, who was your partner?
My partner is Candy.
All right, tell us about Candy.
Yes, and she has to review claims, and she has to pay providers, and she has to pay a person to have an antenna, and she has to supervise that your partners fulfill their responsibilities, and she has to check emails, and that's it.
Okay, good. So I guess most of you are busy all the time. Good. Next one, Osvaldo, who was your partner?
My partner was Francisco Grimaldi. Francisco has to bring information or reports to the vice president. He has to make presentations about sales. He has to give information for requests of sales executives. He has to give KPIs for sales executives. He has to give information about sales. He doesn't have to use uniform. Sometimes he has to work on weekends. He doesn't have to visit customer or client. He doesn't have to go to Campus Tigo. And the last one, he has to read a lot of emails every day.
Okay, good, good. So he doesn't have to wear uniform. Good, good, Osvaldo. Next one, and this person is gonna be Oscar. Oscar, who was your partner?
My partner was Jordi.
All right, tell us about Jordi.
Jordi has to report the senior manager to every day and has to make the network plan. And Jordi has to do the maintenance the network, and Jordi has to take the car to the mechanical workshop. And Jordi has to attend a lot of meetings every day.
A lot of meetings. Good.
Yes.
Okay, good. Last person, Nathalie, who do you work with?
I work with Luis.
All right.
So his responsibilities are Luis has to meet with his boss as his partners a week. Luis has to guide his team for new tendencies and the new software. Also, he has to create maintenance of the process for documents for other teams. And he has to create plans to the installation of the different components each week. And he has to meeting with his co-worker every day.
Good. Thank you, Nathalie. So he works on the maintenance area. Good. All right. So those are your responsibilities. And as we were working before, we were working in pairs. So you were interviewing your classmates. I know that some of you had problem with connection. For example, Rodrigo. Now he's back. And I guess Carla, the same. If I don't make a mistake, it was Carla, Rodrigo, and who was the other one? Carlos Asensio. So I guess you live in the same neighborhood. And there was another person who had a problem right now. So I guess it is due to the rain that is coming or the wind. So we are going to have a person that is going to introduce herself. So she's coming from Insafort. So we are going to listen to her. Anna Lisette, we can hear you right now. I guess your microphone is off.
Excuse me, teacher.
No problem. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Anna Sandoval. I work in Insafor. I check different content. I need open your camera. Only that, teacher.
Okay, good job, Ana. So,
Espero me hayan entendido bien la información que
sí, le entendimos muy bien. Ok,
Gracias, gracias.
entonces, Elizabeth, la cámara, por favor, porque tomarían la captura para la asistencia. De igual manera, ya la voy a pasar en Schoology porque la necesitamos como referencia también.
Sí, creo que todos tienen ya sus cámaras.
Sí.
No sé si encendidas.
Sí.
Ok, en estos momentos voy a tomar la primera captura de pantalla. Me salen dos porque es un grupo bastante grande, ¿verdad? permítanme un segundo. Y en este momento tomo la segunda.
Aunque allí no está complicado en la...
Ok. Perfecto. Thank you. I have a question. What is your name, teacher?
Thank you. Well, my name is Juan Lima.
Okay.
My name is Juan
Es que
Lima.
solo me aparece speak English.
Sí, lo que pasa
But
que,
not your name.
yeah, the thing is that this user is for other teachers. So I don't have to edit it because if I edit it, the next teacher is going to be Juan Lima. So that's why.
Okay, no problem. Your name again, please.
Juan Lima.
One moment.
Juan Lima, Lima.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, finish my work. I listen and finish the class.
All right, good. So
Thank you,
thank you, Anna.
everybody.
Thank you. So the attendance, guys, the attendance.
Teacher, you are in mute.
Oops. So I'm going to show you on the screen the attendance. So remember to say present when you hear your name. First person, Isaac Aguillon. Well, he's not here. Hazael Alfaro.
Present.
Good. Rodrigo Alfaro.
Present.
Carlos Asensio.
Present.
Osvaldo Cáceres.
Present.
Good. Alfredo Ernesto Calderón.
Present.
Good. Elizabeth Castro.
Present.
Good. Jordi Castro.
Present.
Good. Winston Cruz. Winston. Bueno, Winston creo que tuvo problemas de conexión al final. Nathalie Dubon.
Present.
Francisco Grimaldi.
Present.
Francisco.
Present.
René Gutiérrez.
Present.
Luis Liotti.
Present.
Karen Marroquín.
Present.
Oscar Morales.
Present.
Raúl Reynosa.
Present.
Jaime Rivas.
Present.
Carla Rodríguez.
Present.
Walter Sánchez.
Present.
Michelle Valiente.
Present.
Candy Villacorta.
Sí, desde ahora supuestamente.
Candy.
Leta, ¿cómo se llama? Leta se
Well,
llama.
Candy is there. Brian Villalta.
Otra vez suspendida la clase.
Yes, present.
O sea, no se me equivoque.
Okay, good. So this is all for now, guys. We are going to continue tomorrow. I hope you are ready for the presentation that you have on Friday. So if you are not, start working right now so that you get ready by Thursday, and on Friday you feel relaxed. Yes? So thank you for being there. I see you all tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye, guys.
Bye, teacher.
Have a nice day,
Bye,
teacher.
thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.